Chapter 9, Folktales. All stories are real. Storyteller from Names and Stories by Grandu Kyachan. Volkit. After dinner, we decided to tell stories around the fireplace. This is Athena had the idea to do it. This is the legend of Felink and Hannja, meaning of the hood, and how he formed one of the most famous groups in Sylish history, she said. Don't confuse him with the many Sylish resistance groups and charities named after him. Once, during one of the many Solite occupations of Syl, there lived a man named Felink of Liaville, and his brother Loshi, and their friend, the young lady Marais-en-Chic. I thought he was called Felink de Lirely, I said. And what do you mean by the young lady? It's not called that yet. Right now, he is only Felink of Liaville, Mother Celestina said. And in the Commonwealth, Powatina and AtLA, nobles have to earn the titles. Before that happens, you would put young before the title. Wait, your nobles have to earn their titles? Wharnka said. They don't just inherit them? Mother Celestina shook her head. No, we the ancient ponies, wanted to make sure that the person inheriting all the power was qualified for the job. Oh, she frowned. Why doesn't everyone do that? She shrugged. I don't know. Maybe because the other system is simpler. You'd have to define what earning a title means, and then what would happen if the king died and no one could inherit the throne. What do you do for that? Well, there's a military service. That's very common, though less abundant. Both Queen Nadia and King Pax did as well. It's actually how they met. So there's serving in another government position or working for someone that does, which the king and queen also did. The former as the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the latter as the Mistress of Defense. Princess Julia was planning on doing until she trailed off. Mother Zelus's hands twitched. Athena, can we get back to the story now? Mother Zelus said quietly. Mother Athena shook her head and blinked. Yes. Now, the young lady Marais-en-Chic was the daughter of a once powerful Sylish lord, where Felink and Loshi were the sons of a hunter and a rich ponyling who left a comfortable life to be with him. What is a ponyling? They asked. Mother Celestina sighed. Someone who ponies the spirit of boy that is blessed. One day soon after their father died, Felink and Loshi were hunting, looking forward to spending the day with their friend at Pony's festival, when a wicked Solite policeman came to them and taunted them, saying, "Are you the sons of Wally, the foolish girl who chose a corbett holder over a paddy leg?" This enraged the man. Loshi started cursing at him, while Felink, in his anger, shot him in the head. When he realized what he had done, Felink fled and hid in the old hut by the lake his father had constructed. Loshi ran to him, went to find Marais-en-Chic and told her everything. They found Felink in the hut, and Marais-en-Chic said to him, "Do not despair, Felink. Though you have done wrong, this could be an opportunity. We can stay in the forest and strike back against the Solites. We can bring justice to Syl." I realize I sound like a Vixicum now, she added with a chuckle. And so it was. Felink and Loshi stayed in the forest, hunting, gathering, plotting, and avoiding the police. Meanwhile, Marais-en-Chic stayed with her father by day, not out suspicion, and disappeared into the forest by night to plot with her friends. It feels like there should be more, Wharnka said. It is only the beginning, the origins of the hero. Perhaps I'll tell more festivals later, Mother Celestina said. Now, what's to go next? I'd go, but I'm not sure if I have the fluency to face this, Mother Zelus said. Then I'll go, said Wharnka, and she began telling her story over the protector. One day, there was this man, his name was Ektitro, who was walking through a village when he saw a beautiful peasant girl. Her name was Hannja. He fell in love with her, and she was him. But Ektitro was not what he appeared to be. After many weeks of their courting, during which Evater appeared to be a threat to Hannja's safety many times. He told her the truth. He wasn't an ordinary man. He was a Vatir. But he wasn't an ordinary Vatir, because he did not burn in the sunlight. Instead, he just shimmered. It was a fact that baffled everyone. "What is that?" I asked. "It is a creature from Vixic folklore. They drink blood, live for very long, and are supposed to burn in the sunlight," Wharnka said. "Yes, but this tale was written by a fool who didn't understand Vixic folklore." So glad at Wharnka, who grinned. Despite this revelation and the village's protests, Hannja continued to court him. A few months into their courtship, the great hero Felink passed through the town. He, too, fell in love with Hannja, even though he was already courting a very nice woman who had once saved the country with, and soon the girl found herself torn between the two men. The Vatir, who had admitted to being a threat to her safety, told her it was too dangerous for them to court, and had threatened her safety multiple times. And the man famous for being a very honorable warrior, acting out of character because he was already courting someone, cursed to become a wolf at twilight. Hannja's father told her to choose neither of them. Much to the chagrin of Felink and the entire village, especially Hannja's father, she chose Evater, saying, "I'm sorry, Hector Felink, but we have only known each other for a week, while my courtship with Evater has lasted for the past months." This angered Felink, and he struck her, confusing everyone who knew anything about him, since he was already courting a very nice young woman and had a reputation for being very honorable. This enraged her, Evater, and Hannja's father, and they took up arms and drove Felink from the village. That night, Evater told his clan of Felink's action, saying, "You know of my love, Hannja. Today, the wolfman Felink has injured my beloved, and we must get vengeance." His cousin Agar said to him, If what you say is true, cousin, then we will find him, and we will bring him to justice." And the other Vatir cheered, and took up arms to fight Felink. Felink was outside of the village, still angry about Hannja's rejection and plotting his revenge. The Vatir fed him that morning, sparkling like morning dew, instead of bursting into flames as they should have been. Felink's face hardened at their presence, and he reached for his sword, saying, "What are you doing here?" And Evater said, "Yesterday you disrespected me and the lovely Hannja. Now my family and I will regain our honor." Felink drew his sword, said, "Let's fight." Before they could, Hannja came in between them to defuse the situation. Her father and her, "Stop it," she said. "You can't fight each other, for I love both of you." Her father brought his palm to his face and groaned. So groaned too. Wharnka left. "So who do you choose?" Evater said. "Me or the wolfman?" Her father was shaking his head, and Hannja said, "I choose neither." So Evater and Felink were frustrated. They took her rejection well and did not do anything stupid, and her father was overjoyed. And then Syl invaded or some nonsense like that because they're better than Vix or something. So that's it is that Hannja's father was the only reasonable person in this tale. Syl brought his palm to his face. "Are you serious? There's a story written by a Sylite who don't know nothing about Felink or the Vatir." Wharnka laughed gleefully. "Exactly the reaction I was hoping for!" Syl sighed. "There are much better stories of Felink, like this one, I'll tell you now. Once there lived a man named Felink Ektitro from the village of Kristopik, a simple southern town of shepherds and farmers. There was a beautiful young woman he loved named Ilishka Lilamot. One day, the Sylites, led by Zodithos Lophichios, the Twilight Mage, also known as Zodithos the Adelacite, attacked. "Twilight Mage?" I asked. "He was very skilled in shadow magic and blessed by Maria and Vespus, the spirits of the evening and morning," Syl explained. Led by the Twilight Mage, they easily conquered Vix, but to deter a revolution, Zodithos Lophichios shrouded the land in eternal twilight. He hadn't taken into the account that this level of light was normal for Vix, since it happened every year. As is the Vixic way, the children of Christopic took the wooden sword carved by Felink's father and tried to fight off the soldiers. Ileska tried to protect them, but they were captured. Upon hearing of Vilishka and the children's fates, Felink ran after them despite the villagers' protests. He found soldiers, but not the children or Ilishka. He demanded they tell him where they were, but the soldiers only laughed. This made him mad and he started fighting them, but he dangled the wrong soldiers because one of them was blessed by a spirit. She cursed him to turn into a wolf between dusk and dawn, which Zadithos' magic counted as, and took him prisoner. Felink was awoken by a bucket of freezing water being poured on him. He leapt to his paws and looked around wildly for his attacker. What he found appeared to be a Dodaha, a fairy-like creature from AtLA folklore. She wore part of a strange hat on her head, one strangely familiar to Felink, and had a tunic similar to those worn by solid nobles, both of which were too big for him. "Well, what a predicament you find yourself in, little wolf," said the Dodaha. She sounded almost like a villain taunting the heroes they'd captured, which wasn't helped by her solid accent. But there was something under that, something Felink couldn't pin down. Felink growled and glared at her. The Dodaha smiled and patted his head. "But of course, you're not a wolf, because why would a wolf be in prison? Now, I will help you as long as you help me. Would you like to?" Felink nodded. "Oh, wonderful! Now I will just solve this little problem, and then we could talk to the little lady." Felink thought it was ironic for a person the height of a Chrono to call someone little. So the Dodaha's hand glowed with fire, and she melted through Felink's change before burning a hole in his cell. She jumped on his back. "Now let us go. I have evil pigeons that they must tip over in their sleep, and I would like to get back to that as soon as possible." "Please tell me this is a common thing, and not just a detail you made up," said Mademoiselle Athena, trying very hard not to laugh. "It is. Practically every mention of her in ballads calls her the prankster of the soldiers. Her other titles are spoilers," Sol said. "I think this is how people usually interpret that." Felink and the Dodaha made their way through the dungeons and to the rooms of Lady Celia, the daughter of the Duke and Duchess, who had been killed during the Solite invasion. At the sight of the girl standing at her window, Felink was suspicious of her. To be fair, everyone he had met that day either cursed him or wanted to use him. The Dodaha thought this was funny. When Lady Celia turned, he recognized her and thought there was nothing to be worried of. "Oh, thank goodness you are safe, Athena," said Lady Celia. "And it appears you have a friend. Who might he be?" "I am not entirely sure," said Athena, the Dodaha. "I found him in the dungeon, which either means I found an innocent bystander or a horrible murderer. I am fine with either, as long as he helps me." Lady Celia sighed. "All right. Do you know anything about the increased security around here?" She sounded like a mother about to reprimand her child. "What increased security?" Athena asked. Lady Celia put her hands on her hips. "Do not act as if you do not know, Athena. The soldiers have been looking everywhere for you. Please tell me you have not pulled any more foolish tricks on them." "I have thought," Athena spread her arms innocently. Lady Celia looked at her in a way that made her look even more like an angry parent. "Athena, I do not know what you were talking about," Athena said in a sing-song tone. "Athena, a fan!" Felink barked, despite being painfully aware no one could understand. "I assume your little friend knows something about this?" Lady Celia asked. Athena scoffed. "He is a wolf. Who knows what he is saying? Not me. I am not an underling." "What is an underling?" I asked. Mother Celestina sighed. "I'm getting tired of explaining your word to you. I'm getting tired of asking. So what is it?" "Someone who has been blessed by Oni, the spirit of animals." Lady Celia sighed. "Anyway, your friend, I believe we owe him an explanation." Athena looked down, suddenly seeming awkward. "Yes, just do not tell him too much. I will not. She turned to Felink. You probably know by now that Sol has invaded again, she said, something very serious, even sad. They were led by a treacherous maid named Zadithos. The soldiers did not even try this time. They just gave up. What is wrong with them? Well, I know what is wrong. My father, she sighed. If I make it out of this, the first thing I'm doing is firing all our military leaders. They are useless. Anyway, Zadithos has enchanted our land, laying a shroud of dusk across it. Now it is like a polar night, but always instead of for 2 weeks. Askia smiled. Oh, cheer up! Our solid rule and perpetual darkness so terrible? Lady Celia and Felink stared at her, and she pretended not to notice. Yes, sir, said Lady Celia. Now you two must go, quickly now, before any of the soldiers ask who I've been talking to. Felink and Assia left Lady Celia's rooms and made it outside to Vix. Once they had left the capital and were in the countryside, Assia said, Now, I will help you fight your little friends. Assia. Again, Felink thought it was ironic that she'd call anyone Tittle. He also wondered how she knew it was his friends he was looking for. But you have to help me find something too, a magical artifact of AoT. I have part of it right here, and the rest of it is Vix, I believe. If you are extra good, I pay for Vix as well. Her lead led them back to Christopic. The villagers were meeting outside, discussing what should be done about the missing children, for while Felink and Ilishka were the eldest of the children, they were only a little older than we are. I thought that you might want to see your home again, Assia explained. Felink just wanted to go home and sit by the fire with his parents like he was a little boy again. But they thought that he was dangerous, so he left and slept in the woods, cold and alone, save for a strange girl who didn't love him. In the morning, the pair had headed out west to Kiranir, and found most of the village children had escaped and made it there, hiding under the protection of the mayor. As in Christopic, the villagers tried to attack Felink, but he listened in on the mayor's conversations with the children. Hector Ninir, how do we stop the bad mage's magic? Asked Dimshko, one of the children. One man can't control all of this. He split his soul into parts, and each of them creates some of this shroud. To stop him, you must destroy them, the mayor answered. But don't go trying to do that. He addressed all the children now. You've got courage, but there's a fine line between courage and recklessness, one that you crossed once and can't cross again. And just like with the little lady, Assia said with a smile, I will completely disregard this warning. Zadithos is a shadow mage. I bet he would have what I am looking for. Perhaps it is even what powers its spell. They were able to locate the soul fragments and set off to the nearest one, conveniently only a few villages away. There they battled the mage's shade. Zadithos! Assia called when they first arrived. The shade turned. Well, if it is not Athena, I must say you look better, and you did when I last saw you. And who is this? A Vix poor you are friends with. Oh, how far you have fallen to be with their kind. Felink growled and glared at him. Oh, stop this. I will give you one chance to give up and give me AoT's light. But if you do not take it, then we will battle, and we will win, said Assia. The shade smiled. You little things against me, the most powerful mage of all time. That is a hopeless matchup. I've already beaten you once, now I can do it again. Your power is a false one, said Assia. The truth will always win out over against your lies. And so they fought. So Felink's scale lay with the sword. He proved to be very formidable as a wolf. And Assia was a mage proficient with shadow and water magic. There's a good song about this, but this story is too long already. As the fight was long and Zadithos nearly won, but Assia and Felink were able to overpower him. And the shade returned to its origin, leaving behind part of a golden hat. AoT's light! Assia exclaimed. He jumped off Felink's back and grabs the piece, fusing it to his own head. Without the presence of the shade, everything south of the Tia was freed from the shadows, and Felink was returned to his Vix form. The first thing he did was go to the children. "Are you all right?" he asked. "How have you been? What happened?" "The soldiers took us away, but Hector Ninja saved us, and we're fine now," answered Mitilinka. Bilinka, the oldest of the children. "And Ilishka, where is she?" "I don't know," Bilinka said sadly. "Hector Ninja couldn't save her." Felink said, "Oh, Ilishka. Do you know where she might be?" "No." Seeing Felink's concern for his beloved and the children softened Asia's heart a bit. "Considering where they were taking you, she must be between here and Vis. Likely either rescued like these children or in prisons like you were," she said. "Will you stay here with us, Felink?" asked Timishko. Felink sighed. "I'm sorry, children, but I can't rest until I know Ilishka is safe. And he has to help me, Asia added. Felink sighed. "Yes, and sad too." "Who are you? You sound solid, but you look like a big fairy," said Ilk, a boy with high ambitions of being a shop owner. Asia smiled. "My name is Athena, and your friend here is helping me find something." "She brought me out of prison," Felink explained, "and she agreed to have me find you and Ilishka." "Oh," said Milk. "So can you go to my shop? Because I have weapons." Felink blinked. "Milk? Why do you have a shop?" "The old shop owner got killed, so I took it," Milk said casually. "Oh, well, I must be going now. Stay safe, children." So Felink and Asia began walking to Vis, and found Ilishka a few villages away under the care of Tilia, the local beggar. "Why, hello, there, travellers," said Tilia. "What brings you here?" "Hello, Faust," said Felink. "I heard that a girl from another village was here." "Yes, poor girl ran into some trouble with the Solites, but we managed to get her out mostly all right." Her expression became sad. "What is her name?" Tilia sighed. "Ilishka, but she barely even remembered that." "What? How did she lose her memories?" he said, terrified. "I don't know. It could be magic, or that she has simply been through a lot in the past few days." At that moment, Ilishka entered. She had clearly been through much, but was still as beautiful as ever. "Hello, Tilia. Who might this be?" Felink sighed, deeply saddened by this. "I'm Felink." "Oh," Ilishka frowned. "I'm sorry, but do we know each other?" "Yes, we're from the same village," Felink said. This interaction both saddened and amused Celsia. "Oh, well, I don't know if Tilia has told you, but I remember nothing but my name," Ilishka said backward. "She has." "I see," said Ilishka. "Well, my friend," said Celsia to Felink, "I believe we are done here and should be going now. Remember, you still need to help me obtain the rest of that artifact." Ilishka looked around for her voice. "Who said that?" Ilishka asked. Asia groaned. "Look down." Ilishka did and noticed the small creature. "Oh, there you are. I'm sorry I didn't see you before." "It is all right," Asia said bitterly. She turned to Felink. "Now, my friend, we must be going." Felink nodded. "Yes, we should." "Well, Ilishka," his voice nearly broke on her name. "It is nice to see you again." He turned and began to leave with Asia. "Wait!" Ilishka called. He and Asia turned around. Felink was excited and Asia was annoyed. "What?" Asia asked. "Could I come with you?" "Whatever you are doing?" Ilishka did not know why, but she felt a strange pull to Felink. Perhaps since he claimed to be from her village, being around him would help her regain her memories. Asia sighed, opening her mouth to reject her offer, but when she saw Felink's expression, one of immense hope, she found that she could not bring herself to. "All right, fine." Ilishka smiled, and Felink was overjoyed. "Thank you, Athena," she supplied. "Thank you, Asia." And so Ilishka, Felink's beloved, joined the duo on their quest. And I think I'll end it there. It's a long story, so said. Maybe I'll tell the rest of it later. Everyone turned to me. I blinked. What? Do you want to tell a story? Wharnka asked. I frowned. As in make one up? She frowned. If you want, but I was more so talking about the legend or folktale. I don't know what you're talking about. Everyone except Mother Celestina looked at me, disturbed. I find it best to ignore that and then move on, Mother Celestina said. So what now? All of us have told our stories, said Mother Celestina. I have a story, if you would like to hear it. We all turned to see that Tol Apollo was outside the room. What are you doing here? Wharnka asked. I wanted to know what all the noise down here was about. Anyway, would you like to hear it? We all looked at each other. All right, said Wharnka. Very well. He sat down next to us. This is the tale of Lepusian-Sylish. Before any of you ask, yes, that's the name of an opera character. In the time of Tol Apollo, there lived a woman named Lepusian-Sylish of the Mito clan. Tol Apollo? Wharnka asked. Was that a king's name? Yes, Tol Apollo answered. Then why'd you call him Tol instead of king? He shrugged. That's just how we do it back home. Now, Lepusian was one of the vocal Mythones who wanted independence from Arachnia, her particular rebellion and espionage. Her group was guarding valuable information and weapons, but the penalty spy infiltrated them. They managed to figure out that the spy was present, but not who he was, so they called a meeting to figure out what to do. Comrades, said Lepusian, in case you don't know, we have a spy among us. Has anyone noticed any suspicious behavior? Of course, said Lepusian. Who was either a fool with amazing luck, or very good at acting like he was? You're quick to accuse someone of being a spy. One, I have not accused anyone yet. And two, if I were a penalty spy, why would I bring attention to the fact that there's a spy here? Said Lepusian calmly. I don't know. As I thought. Lepusian turned back to the whole group. Now let's get back to work. Report any strange behavior to me. So they did. Lilio, Lepusian, and another named Criselio were chosen to guard the vault directly, while others guarded the base. Here the spy began his work, killing 3 guards and disguising him as one of them with an illusion. Lepusian heard the spy of the last one and ran to make sure he was all right. She found the youngest of the group, Ektitro, standing over the body of Chiquillo, the spy's knife still buried in his back. I am sorry, Ektitro stammered. The spy, he murdered Chiquillo and then just ran off. I couldn't stop him. Did you see his face? Ektitro shook his head, clearly upset over this. No, that Kivino ran off before I could get a good look at him. Footnote. Kivino is Arachne's for little cabbage. It's also a replacement for a rude thing to call someone. Lepusian sighed. Manna la misa. This isn't good. Footnote, Mana la misa is Arachne, specifically Mythones for dang it, basically. She ran her fingers through her hair, messing up her mantilla in the process. Let's return to the others. We can make a plan there. They walked back to the vault. Where's the vault? Lilio and Criselio were carrying the body of Chiquillo. What happened, Lepusian? Asked Criselio. Lidovita lays a body down on the nearby table. Jacquio is dead. Criselio and Lilio gasped. Lilio grabbed the collar of Lidovita's tunic and pressed her against the wall, drawing his sword. "All right, you dirty spy! Now you'll pay for your crimes!" Cisatito blinked in surprise. Lidovita sighed. Criselio put one hand on Lilio's shoulder. "Lilio, how could she be the spy? She was with us the whole time." Lilio blinked and relaxed. "Oh, right." "Getting back to business," said Lidovita. "Only a few of us are left. Must find the spy." Anger burned in Cisatito's eyes. "Dirty spies, they're the worst, turning us all against each other like this." He took the knife from Jacquio's back, a finely crafted butterfly knife, and began to close it, wielding it with surprising skill. "I swear, when I find that Kevin, I'm going to slit his sword." Ah! He had messed up and cut himself with the knife. He pressed his handkerchief down to his hand and put the knife down. No offense. Sorry." "It's fine." Lidovita looked at him coolly. "Now, as for the spy, he must be one of us, as the others are all doing work in Lakia, or dead. He could be me, or Criselio, or even..." Footnote. Lakia is a region in Mito. And at that moment, Lilio ran forward, screaming like a madman, and chopped off her head. There was a shimmer in the air. Criselio groaned. "Lilio!" Cisatito yelled, "Oh, spirits!" Lilio said, "It was obvious. Look, the illusion will wear off soon." After a few seconds, Lidovita's dead body still looked like Lidovita's dead body. "I'm telling you, any second now, a true identity will be revealed," Criselio said. "Lilio, of all the foolish things you have done, this is the worst. At least you should have let her finish her sentence. Maybe you're the spy." Lilio scoffed. "I'm not one of those dirty penalties. Maybe you're the spy." At that moment, an illusion did fall, though it was not one on Lidovita, but on Cisatito. He opened the butterfly knife and stalked forward. "Oh no, the spy isn't one of you." He was about to stab them when Lidovita materialized behind him, her own knife pressed to his throat. "Why, hello there, Lychee." "Lidovita, how are you alive?" said Cisatito, or Lychee, as was his true name. "Light magic and glamoury," she answered. "The very same trick you used to disguise yourself as Cisatito." "How did you know it was me?" Lidovita shrugged. "There were several clues. You said Jacquio the Paniti's way and Kivino instead of Kivito. And you hit yourself with the dull side of your knife, but acted as though you were bleeding. And if you did hit yourself with the sharp knife, the sharp side, you would have cut your finger off. And you were far more surprised at Lilio's antics than any of us would be." Lychee chuckled. "Well played, my friend." And then she killed him. Wharnka frowned. "Why did Lilio try to kill Lidovita if she's a woman? Lychee called the spy he?" Tol Apollo sighed. "It's something that really only works in arachnes. Unlike everyone else, we don't have a neuter gender, so we often use masculine in its place. Lychee could have been saying the spy was a man, or that he did not know the gender of the spy. In addition to this, Lilio is Lilio." He stood up. "Good night." He left. "So, what shall we do now?" Mademoiselle Luzelus asked. "Well, Mademoiselle," Wharnka stood. She shook her head. "Luzelus, please, I think we can use the and follow you now." Mademoiselle Cinnis nodded. "Sure, same here." "Does this mean you'll tell us the rest of your names now?" he asked. Luzelus shook her head. "It's not so simple." "Anyway, I was going to suggest sleeping," Wharnka said. "Reading sounds better," Athena said. Wharnka sighed. "Please tell me you will not stay up all night reading." She opened her mouth to respond, but Wharnka stopped her and added, "Tell you the truth." She closed her mouth. Wharnka sighed. "Nocha. I was about 5 or 6, sitting at a desk in our room, my face set in concentration and frustration. A piece of paper was in front of me. In 2 neat rows were the Draconic and Tolite alphabets. Below them, misshapen things that looked somewhat like the letters. I do not understand, I said. Why do I have to learn how to read? Not many can be a Drocha, Luskazia said. It is a useful skill. But if no one can, why must I learn? I whined. No. I said not many could. Not that no one could, she corrected. Still, why? Well, you enjoy listening to stories. Do you not want to read them alone? She asked. You can read them to me. Not always. If you learn to read, you would not need me to do it. You could read after I am asleep, or before I wake up, or when I have her face talk and the other business to attend to. Fear flickered inside me. I would not be able to. I would be too scared. She looked at me, leaning over so her eyes would be at the same level. Piedrocha, I find that whenever I am scared, there are two things that comfort me. Books and music. What about me? I asked, completely missing the gravity of her tone. She smiled. Piedrocha, you are often the reason why I am scared. After getting out of the castle, all my thoughts were on getting as far away from Powatina, or at least Gresola, as I could. There were a few options on where to go. Draco was too close, and not even Beyond himself would be able to convince me to stay there. I could not go to Lepus because the Kronia was living there would not look suspicious. It was still quite close, and I was not sure how to do a Lepusian accent. Sol and Arachnia were behind international borders, and Syl was in chaos, which left either disappearing across the sea or going to Vix. But no, Beyond is the creator of the world and the giver of life. He is honored by all and worshipped by the Adelacites and small groups in other countries. As much as the excited child listening to Luis Casio's stories wanted to go across the sea, it was not feasible. Land, if there was any, would be strange, and I highly doubt whoever lived there, if anyone, would be able to speak Lepusian, Arachnes, or Draconic, which left Vix. Vix was a safe distance away, though how I was going to get there I did not know. I could go to the port city of Vessi to get a boat to Vix. Not many outside the city would know my face, but my clothes would look suspicious, and anything I had to sell looked equally suspicious. I had my harp in fine condition though, and could play in a tavern. My other options would be to go from house to house and hope no one turned me in, which was risky, and stay away from all civilization, which would get lonely, and I would either need to study edible plants or eat nothing but grass. I decided to risk the boat ride. If Luskazia's stories were anything to go off of, all the best stories started in taverns. So as soon as I got out of Gresola, I would go to one to see if there was any way I could get money.